What if I told you that the strongest move a man can make isn't to raise his voice, isn't to explain himself, isn't even to fight for her? It's to walk away quietly. No announcement, no emotional outburst, no final message, just gone. Not out of pride, not to punish, but because peace matters more than proving a point. Let me paint you a picture. There's a man. He loved her deeply. He gave her his loyalty, his time, his softness. He held her through breakdowns. He stayed when she pushed him away. He forgave things he shouldn't have. And in the end, she walked, without warning, without closure. She moved on like none of it ever mattered. And he was left with silence, the kind that roars in the chest like thunder. But here's where most stories end, and where his began. Because this man didn't write a novel of emotions. He didn't beg. He didn't spiral into self-doubt. He didn't play the fool, trying to win her back. He did something else. Something most men today are too afraid to do. He vanished, not in anger, but in clarity. Not to hurt her, but to heal himself. And that silence, it started echoing in her mind, in her memory, in her ego. You see, real strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it leaves the room without a word. The world teaches men to chase, to please, to constantly seek approval. But the Stoic man, he doesn't perform. He doesn't chase validation. He becomes the storm, then disappears into the sky. Today, we're going to strip away every lie that told you silence is weakness. We'll expose why emotional control isn't suppression, it's liberation, and why disappearing isn't quitting, it's reclaiming. Because masculine men don't chase. They don't explain their worth to someone who stopped listening. They remove themselves and rebuild, far from the noise. This isn't for the man who wants to be liked. This is for the man who's ready to be respected. This is for the man who's tired of bleeding for those who never planned to stay. And if this message already stirs something inside you, if you've ever given your all to someone who walked away like it meant nothing, then this video was made for you. Take a moment. Breathe. And if you're ready to stop chasing what was never meant for you, if you're ready to release what you can't control, to reclaim your power and rebuild from silence, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and drop a comment below. I'm done chasing. I choose control. Let's begin. Number 1. Feel it fully, then let it go. When she walked away, it didn't feel like rejection. It felt like the oxygen was ripped from your lungs, like the world kept spinning, but you stopped. And in that silence, your mind kept looping back to the last words, the distant tone, the look in her eyes when you realized she no longer saw you the same. That pain, it's not the enemy, it's the signal. A flare shot through your nervous system, not to destroy you, but to wake you up. Pain is a messenger. It tells you something's out of place, not just in her, but in you, in your expectations, in your boundaries, in what you tolerated just to feel wanted. You see, real men don't avoid pain. They don't numb it with new faces or fake laughs. They sit with it, not forever, just long enough to listen. Because here's the truth. You can feel everything, but you only bleed once. The masculine man doesn't let pain become his personality. He doesn't live in what-ifs. He lives in what's next. Most men try to skip the ache. They swipe, drink, scroll. They run from the silence. But you'll do something different. You'll let the ache carve something out of you. Not to leave you empty, but to make room for something better. This is where Stoicism meets heartbreak. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it." It wasn't her absence that broke you. It was the fantasy you wrapped around her. You thought she was the one. You thought without her, you'd be incomplete. But pain cracks the illusion. And when it does, you don't crumble. You transform. History's strongest men, kings, soldiers, thinkers, they weren't made in comfort. They were forged in grief. You're not falling apart. You're being reforged. And the version of you that's coming, he doesn't chase. He doesn't explain. He doesn't beg. He walks forward, wiser, sharper, and untouchable. So if you're done holding on to pain as proof you once loved deeply, if you're ready to stop bleeding and start building, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "I rise because I stayed." Number 2, let silence speak for you. You think the answer lies in telling her how much it hurt. You believe if she could just hear the truth, she might finally understand, maybe even come back. But that's exactly what she expects. A reaction, a flood of emotion, a confession or collapse. What she doesn't expect is stillness. Masculine men don't perform pain. They don't put on a show for sympathy. They offer silence. And silence, it's not weakness, it's control. It's what happens when you stop trying to rewrite the ending and start accepting the truth. You don't owe her an explanation. You don't need to argue your side of the story. You just leave her with one final memory. You, calm. You, collected. You, gone. And that version of you stays in her mind longer than any apology ever could. In dark psychology, this is called the vacuum effect. The brain hates uncertainty. It fills empty spaces with questions, with what-ifs, with doubt. When you stop responding, she starts rewinding. She replays everything you said, everything you didn't say. She wonders why you haven't reacted. That curiosity, it brews into confusion and eventually regret. This is the power of detachment. You don't have to yell. You don't have to break things. You don't even have to say goodbye. Stoicism teaches us anger is predictable. Anyone can explode. But not everyone can stay silent while fully feeling. True strength is emotional discipline, to feel deeply and still choose nothing. Not revenge, not one last message, not another round of pain, just silence. Because when a man vanishes quietly, with no drama, no scene, no final performance, he becomes unforgettable. And that silence, it echoes. So if you're done reacting to those who expect a reaction, if you're ready to master the stillness they'll never understand, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "My silence is my strength." Number 3, you don't need to explain your worth. Every time you feel the urge to justify yourself, stop. Because the moment you try to explain who you are to someone who's already walked away, you give away something sacred, your dignity. It starts subtly. You catch yourself writing that message, the one where you say, "I just wanted you to know." But deep down, you don't want her to know. You want her to care. You want her to understand that your love was real, that you showed up, stayed loyal, stood by her. But here's the harsh truth. She already knows. She just doesn't value it anymore. People don't leave because they forget your worth. They leave because they believe you'll stay anyway. They expect no consequences. That's why silence hits harder than paragraphs ever will. Because words try to convince. But distance, it speaks with finality. You don't need to explain your love. You don't need to justify your presence. You don't need to plead your case. The man who knows his value doesn't enter debates about it. He doesn't argue to be seen. He lives by a code dash. And if someone can't read it, they were never meant to understand it. When you chase clarity from someone who ghosted you, you place your peace in their hands. And worst of all, you become predictable, available, easy to ignore. But when you stop explaining, you become something else, a mystery, and mystery is magnetic. Dark psychology teaches this. The more someone is accessible, the more they're taken for granted. But the moment they vanish, without protest, without closure, the silence becomes louder than anything they ever said. Stoicism reminds us, you don't owe your truth to someone who distorted it. You don't need to be understood to stand tall. You walk with conviction, not to prove anything, but because that's who you are. So if you're tired of being misunderstood, of begging to be seen by someone who chose to turn away, then stop explaining, start living. If they misjudged you, let them. That's not your burden. That's their blind spot. Like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below. I am not here to convince. I am here to become. Number 4, the power of true indifference. Indifference isn't about pretending. It's not an act. It's not coldness masked as calm. It's what happens when you finally stop needing what once kept you up at night. That's the shift. The quiet moment you no longer orbit her emotions. You stop wondering what she thinks, and start standing in the center of your own gravity, that's when everything changes. Because when she no longer knows how you feel, she loses the control she used to hold. And make no mistake, attention is power. And she knows it. When she pulls back, delays replies, goes silent. She's not detached. She's watching, waiting to see if you'll chase. Most men react. They spiral. They overthink, double text, post something vague just to be seen. But the masculine man, he does nothing. Not because he's playing games, but because he's mastered the law of indifference. This law says, if it disrupts your peace, it's irrelevant. You don't chase her. You don't resent her. You simply no longer need her. And that shift in energy, it's psychological warfare. Now she's the one wondering. Now she's the one refreshing your profile, questioning how you let go so easily. Indifference isn't bitterness. It's self-respect. It's the refusal to be emotionally owned by someone else's decisions. Stoicism teaches us this. Our emotions must not be ruled by externals, not approval, not rejection, not love that fades without warning. So when someone exits your life, you don't plead, you don't perform, you accept, you detach. Because the moment you stop caring is the moment they start noticing. And when you detach completely, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, that's power. Not by manipulation, but by mastering yourself. So if you're tired of living emotionally chained to someone's silence, if you're ready to lead with peace instead of reaction, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, my peace is not negotiable. Number 5, become her mirror, not her pet. Every time she pulls away and you chase, every time she disrespects you and you stay, you teach her one thing, that there are no consequences for her behavior. And that's not strength, that's obedience. A pet chases, begs, follows. It stays loyal even when it's mistreated. But you're not her emotional pet. You're not here to soothe her chaos while she ignores your peace. You're here to be her mirror. And mirrors don't run. They don't explain. They simply reflect what stands before them. If she turns cold, you turn colder. If she pulls away, you disappear. Not to play games, but to let her see herself in your silence. That's not emotional immaturity. That's emotional chess. Because the moment she realizes her actions echo back to her, something shifts. She no longer controls the rhythm. Now she feels the consequence. See, most men think loyalty means endurance. That being a real man is staying no matter how toxic it gets. They confuse love with self-sacrifice. They offer unconditional access in the name of unconditional love. But true masculinity has boundaries. It doesn't reward bad behavior. It doesn't explain its standards over and over. It walks away when they're violated. And that walk, that quiet exit, is louder than any argument could ever be, because it teaches her this: if she chooses distance, she must also accept the silence that follows. If she chooses disrespect, she loses access to your presence. Dark psychology explains it simply. People change when staying the same becomes uncomfortable. You are that discomfort. Your response becomes the mirror, not to hurt, but to reveal. And when she sees herself clearly, she will either grow or go. Either way, you win. Because you never begged, you never lowered your standards, you simply reflected the truth. Stoicism teaches us to live in alignment, not reaction. We don't fix imbalance with comfort. We let others feel the weight of their choices. And if she returns, let it be because she missed your peace, not because you convinced her to come back. So if you're done being loyal to dysfunction, if you're ready to reflect, not chase, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "I reflect, I don't follow." Number 6, build your fortress. She walked away, and at first it stung. It always does. But buried inside that sting was a gift: space. Space to breathe, to rebuild, to become someone stronger, sharper, more focused than ever before. Her absence is not a curse, it's permission. Permission to stop waiting for closure and start constructing your fortress. Not to keep people out, but to build something so solid that no one can shake it again. You take the pain, and instead of drowning in it, you mold it into fuel. The gym becomes your temple. Discipline becomes your language. Silence becomes your shield. You don't heal by sitting in the rubble. You heal by rising beyond it. This isn't about showing her anything. It's not revenge. It's not a performance. This is about becoming the version of you that will never beg again. The man who doesn't settle for breadcrumbs. The man who no longer checks his phone, hoping she remembered what she walked away from. This is your identity shift. In dark psychology, they call it the moment. You let the old self die, the version of you who needed her, who waited, who broke down. He's gone, and what replaces him is a man of clarity, purpose, conviction. You don't chase closure. You don't ask if she's looking back, because by the time she does, you've already rebuilt the kingdom she left. So don't sit in heartbreak. Use it. Turn it into stone. And brick by brick, build your fortress. If you're done being weakened by what broke you, if you're ready to rise from it, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "I rise in silence." Number 7, stay silent, stay free. There will be nights when you reach for your phone, when your mind whispers, "Just check in. Just see if she's okay." But here's the truth. Every time you break your silence, you don't just text her. You hand her your power. You reset the progress you've made. You trade your discipline for a few seconds of false comfort, And what do you get in return? A dry reply, an empty read receipt. Her silence wasn't an accident, so yours should be a choice. No contact is not a tactic. It's a boundary, a line you draw to reclaim your peace. When you text, watch her story, or like a post, you walk right back into the emotional trap. A place where she knows she still has influence. Dark psychology says, silence is strength. But once you break it, you confirm that she still holds space inside your head. She doesn't have to wonder. You've made it clear. You're still there, still affected, still chasing. But when you stay quiet, you become a question in her mind, an echo in the distance. That distance is not weakness. It's your shield. It's your proof that your emotions no longer run the show. Stoicism teaches, control begins with restraint. Not every urge deserves action. Not every feeling deserves expression. You don't heal by reaching back. You heal by standing still. So when she wonders why you never called again, let her wonder. Let the silence grow. Let her feel what it's like to lose a man who didn't beg to be kept. Because the longer you stay silent, the louder your worth becomes. If you're done giving pieces of yourself to someone who discarded them, then like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, my silence is my self-respect. Number 8, let her face her own choice. She made her move. Maybe she walked away. Maybe she drifted slowly until you were no longer part of her world. Or maybe she replaced you overnight. Whatever the method, it wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. And now, it's hers to live with. You don't have to carry it. Don't try to ease her guilt. Don't reach out to give her peace. She created the silence. Let her sit in it. Let her feel the weight of losing a man who once would have done anything until he finally stopped. This is where most men fall. They think strength means checking in, leaving the door open, being available just in case she changes her mind. But that's not strength. That's self-betrayal. Because the moment you go back, you erase the lesson. You reward the disrespect. You teach her that hurting you comes without cost. And that's how you stay stuck. Want to shift the power? Then stop trying to change her mind. Let her feel what it's like to exist in the space where your energy used to be. The calls that don't come. The calm that replaced your care. The silence that no longer waits for her reply. That's when regret starts growing. Dark psychology tells us people don't value what's always available. They value what must be earned again. And the moment you stop trying to make her feel better is the moment she begins to feel your absence. Not because you convinced her, but because you didn't. Stoicism reminds us, we're not responsible for another's path, only our own. Her decision is hers to carry, and you don't owe comfort to the one who chose to leave. So, if you're done holding emotional weight that isn't yours, if you're ready to stand in stillness, while she feels the echo of what she lost. Like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below. Her silence is hers to live with, not mine to fix. Number 9. When she returns, you're no longer there. They always return. Sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months, sometimes it takes years, but they come back. Not because they miss you, but because they feel the absence of what used to be constant. That moment when silence grows too loud, when the new guy feels like a stranger, when she realizes what she walked away from wasn't an option. It was the standard. The message shows up. "Hey, how have you been?" And most men break. They take it as a sign. They answer. They believe it means something real. But the man who's rebuilt, he doesn't flinch. He's not bitter. He's not angry. He's just beyond it. Because the version of him she knew, the one who waited, who wondered, who hoped, that man no longer exists. This isn't revenge. This isn't pride. It's called growth. Dark psychology tells us people chase what they can't predict, and they regret what they can't reach. When you don't respond, you become the question she never expected. You go from being her past to becoming her lesson. And that silence, it hits different when it's final. Stoicism teaches us not to move from emotion, but from clarity. You don't reply to prove anything. You stay silent because you've chosen yourself. You've already responded with your absence, with your peace, with your life that no longer revolves around her. So when the apology comes, when the "I miss us" finally arrives, you don't need to reply. Your silence was the answer all along. If you're ready to be the man who moves forward instead of waiting behind, like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below. I do not return to what I've outgrown. Number 10. Disappear with grace, not noise. When a man truly disappears, it isn't out of anger. It isn't to hurt her. It's because he's finished. Not bitter, not broken, just complete. He doesn't leave to punish. He leaves to protect, to take back what he gave too freely, to return to his own center and move forward, not around her, but beyond her. He stops reaching, stops updating, stops orbiting someone who no longer sees him. He no longer posts to prove he's okay. He no longer texts to feel wanted. He no longer waits to be chosen. He simply walks away, quietly, deliberately, and that silence, it grows louder with time. Because now, he exists not in her inbox, but in her thoughts. Not in her presence, but in her memory and memories. Don't reply. Dark psychology tells us presence soothes, absence stings. The less access she has, the more her mind fills the gaps. What happened? Did I misunderstand him? Was he stronger than I thought? The silence becomes the question, and questions, they haunt. Stoicism teaches this. The highest form of strength is not control over others, but mastery over self. You don't disappear to prove a point. You disappear because the man she once knew no longer exists. You've grown, you've ascended, you've become unrecognizable to the version of her that left. This is not revenge. This is transcendence, the cleanest break, the softest goodbye, the kind that doesn't echo, but lingers. And when she looks back, because she will, she won't just see a man she lost, she'll see the world she no longer has access to. If you're ready to disappear from places that no longer value you, to rise in silence and stay there, like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and comment below, "I don't vanish to hide, I vanish to rise."